Hello guys, in this video let's look at the EB1 India specifically and understand the date movements in October 2025 Visa Bulletin versus the backlog data and what could be the realistic scenario on the date movements in the current fiscal year 2026. So in the final action date table for October 2025 Visa Bulletin for EB1 India, it is 15th of February 2022, right, which did not change from uh, September 2025 Visa Bulletin. Okay, but when we go to data filing table, it is it is having a date which is 15th of April 2023, which is 1 year 1 month forward movement from the final action date table, right? Let's look at like how far realistically the EB1 India will move in the current fiscal year. Okay, so if I go to specific backlog data, which is pending I-485 applications, which are already in the queue, this is the file, at least I can see as a latest one released on May 5th of 2025. And you can see for India EB1, certain visa numbers are available and maybe may have been processed in the previous fiscal year, which is fiscal year 2025, which was up to September 2025, and awaiting availability numbers for EB1 India, which will be the waiting list, right? Which is the waiting list, and we will focus on that because let's assume that all the available status are processed in the previous fiscal year. Okay. Now, if I focus on awaiting availability numbers, okay, for EB1 India, it is a total of 10,867, and that is up to December of 2022, right? What we saw in the data filing table was the date movements up to April 2023, which is we don't have those numbers for 2023 in this yet. Like we don't have it for January, February, and March, and also April. We don't have the numbers for 2023 at all. But only for, if I look at only waiting list under priority year 2022, the total is close to 11,000. Okay, 11,000 numbers, close to that. Now, when I go back to the visa limits applied, okay, the minimum number that will be applied is 140,000, right? 140,000. Now, for EB1 India, based on that limit, it will be 2,800 specifically. And out of that, 2,000 visa numbers are for primary applicants and 800 for dependents. Okay, so 2% of the total worldwide limit um, is for dependents. For now, let's consider 2,800 total for primary applicants at this time. Okay, and see how far the data filing, the final action date could move in the current fiscal year if I ignore the backlogs before the fiscal year 2022. If I just look at awaiting availability list, okay, um, and if I calculate that up to 2,800, it is that if there are no increase in the backlog of previous fiscal years up to 2021, and if I consider that, okay, there's not going to be any much backlog increase in the previous fiscal years, and only consider the 2022 count, the waiting list count, and if I calculate cumulatively up to 2800, right? That is the limit um, for the fiscal year if the total worldwide limit is applied as 140,000. Okay. Now that is nothing but close to May or mid of May 2022. So that is the possibility in worst case that without considering any backlog increase prior to priority year 2022 and looking at only the awaiting availability backlog in the priority year 2022 and looking at only the visa limit of 2800, the possibility of date movements here for the entire fiscal year of 2026 for EB1 India is going to be maybe up to mid of May 2022 from 15th of February 2022, which is the current state. Okay. Then why the data filing went up to April of 2023, right? That is maybe uh, because to pull the new applicants into the queue and process those biometrics and EADs and things like that. Maybe that's my speculation at this time for this particular use case. Because we are already seeing that if 2800 visa numbers are applied in the current fiscal year, and if I'm not considering any backlog prior to fiscal year, priority year 2022, then it will move up to only mid of May 2022. So that's my deep dive on the EB1 India case at this time for final action date movements in the current fiscal year of 2026. If in case, in a more worst case scenario, if you start to see the increase in the backlog, which is up to priority year 2021, then the date movements, I said mid of May 2022, up to that moment may slow down and may reduce or get stuck somewhere in April or March. It depends on the intensity of the backlog increase in the prior years. Okay, that's an FYI when you look at this detail. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. I can try to answer as best as I can. Please post it in the comment sections for my visibility. All right. Thank you.